uh, when an experienced and a senior police officer has to speak about the breakdown of the public relations of the police department in Sri Lanka, I have to draw your attention to many facts. From the time that the police was brought into force in England, when the police was brought into force in England, I told you in an earlier discussion that one person by the name of Robert Peel is the person who made this name police, P-O-L-I-C-E, which stands for polite, obedient, loyal, intelligent, courteous and efficient. If those are the design of the police department and what depicts the activities of the police, first and foremost, the officers that are selected should be having all those qualities imbued in them. Otherwise, it will be not possible to carry on with the day-to-day life as expected by the police or the public. When the Sri Lankan, when it was Sri Ceylon, but at the time the British landed in Sri Lanka, they found that a very elaborate system of law existed in this country. That was the Rajya Sabha which was called by the king, and that was the finality. Then the Rata Sabha, the person who was known as the Rate Mahatya, who could call anybody to the courthouse and then inquire into the offences that he has committed. After the Rata Sabha, the Gram Sabha. Now the Gram Sabha was in the field of villages where there was a village headman, and the village headman could hear or arrest or bring forward any person who has committed an offence before the king or the Rate Mahatya. But beyond all, there was a system called the Vadiga Sabha. Now the Vadiga Sabha was held within the village and within the family members, where a person can be deposed away from his family or the village or the area where he lives if he has committed a very serious offence. Now when the British landed in Sri Lanka, they found that this system was prevailing, and they were quite astonished that there was a thing called the Vadiga Sabha. Nowhere in the world or no courthouse in the world can banish a person from the family or the village or from the circle where he lives. But Sri Lanka had, not even in India. So we come to 1815 and 1817, when the show of power of the British came into being, and they found that there was so much of legal systems in this country, but they had to impose something beyond the legal system that was imposed in Sri Lanka after the Roman Dutch law. Now the Roman Dutch law was not a very strict and complicated system, where they had the fiscal, a person by the name of fiscal, at Negombo, at Kandy, at Galle, at Trincomalee and Colombo. So anything which happens within the purview of this person had to go out, and then action was taken so as to produce this person before some court. The British system had the magisterial, then the district court system, and the High Court, and the Privy Council. The Privy Council was a place where they could appeal if they were not happy with the findings of the other courts. Now, beyond all that, when we consider as to why the present situation in Sri Lanka of breaking down of public relations has occurred, I have to bring forward some very meticulous facts, and they are, whether I like it or not, base it on the structure of the police breaking down. I say openly, without any fear and malice, that the structure of the police has broken down within the last several years. When I say the structure of the police has broken down, what I mean is that the people who hold the high ranks of the police department are not putting their foot down as and what was expected by the British or the public of this country, Sri Lanka, when the British came and introduced. The general public does not know the severe implications of the law. And also, it has come to pass that the politicians and some of the police officers, They have misled the public completely as to what the law should be and what they are expected to do. They are expected to do something else. They have done something else. They are still doing that thing which is not proper, and they will continue to do so at the present rate. Now, the British police system, the policeman was the best friend of the public, the best friend of the public. And a police constable can be called, like we called in Sri Lanka, Machang, it's that level. If the police constable's name was Frank, the public would call him Mr. Frank, or my dear Frank, or hello friend, it's that. But now with the present situation in Sri Lanka, it is just the opposite. A member of the public can approach the police officer or the superior officers inside the police station, which is a very detrimental affair. If the police are to get or to find facts and get information out of the public, they must be very close to the public. And without being a friend of the public, they can never get the true situation of the cross-section of the country and the crime situation of the area or the town or the country. Now, when I come back, I will show some facts very meticulously, heavy on this side. By show of power, the local police can never get information from the public. There were revolutions, there were revolts at the time of the British when they showed power. But the British also recognized and realized that show of power is not the way to get or to govern a country where most of the people were fairly educated. Even though we had so much of ancient beliefs and unusual beliefs about gods and goblins and things like that, our people were of a certain standard mentally that they will not listen to anything which is quite obnoxious to their lives. Then, subjection. Subjection was there during the British. But now, even under the Sri Lankan police system, some of our people are subjected to very much harsh situations. This is where the public relation breaks down completely. And going further, harassment. No police department anywhere in the world can be successful by merely harassing the public. The word harassment should be completely erased off. You cannot subject a person to harassment to get the proper information out of him. There are many other methods that a person can be made to speak of about the situation that is consisting or existing. Extrajudicial activity, I have spoken about this extrajudicial activity in one of my earlier subjects, and this is not the way that the police should act. In Sri Lanka, extrajudicial activities and killings are so bad that the people have lost faith in the police. Losing faith in the police means the highest point of breaking of public relations. Then, I would also suggest that police officers at a certain stage are trained in the subject of public relations. There is a different section called the Public Relations Division. This is a division headed by a superintendent of police or a senior superintendent of police with OICs, with ASPs. They are highly experienced in this subject, and they should be sent out periodically to all the divisions and the districts at least once a month. Of course, these officers can't go to all the divisions and the districts every month, but it can be organized in such a way that they can be sent out. Now, when I say they can be sent out, not only to speak to the public about the public relations system and how they should exist, coexistence with the police department and coexistence with the public and the minorities, but also they should be given the knowledge of law. Now, when it comes to the case of law, I have to first speak about the knowledge of law of the police officer himself. From the ranks of the police officers, you come down from the inspectorate downwards. Inspector, chief inspector, inspector, sub-inspector, sergeant and constable. Not the ranks above the rank of chief inspector, that would go to the public. They must be well equipped with the knowledge of law. If they do not know the law, then they cannot speak about the law to the public. What has happened nowadays is the officer in charge of the police stations, they do not know the stand where they are with regards to the law that exists in this country and how they could adjust themselves when they go to a courthouse. Here I would say that every police officer in a police station, from the rank of the chief inspector or the inspector right down to the last junior constable, should be quite conversant with court procedures. When I say court procedures, from the time a person is arrested by a police officer, from the time he is brought to the police station, he should know how the law reacts on the subject that has been arrested, or the laws that he should abide by until this person is brought before courthouse. The law says that a person arrested nowadays, if a person is arrested, the kith and kin must be given a receipt of all the description of where he was arrested, for what he was arrested, the section of law, and so on and so forth, which does not happen in all the police stations. This is the place where the public has lost respect to the police. They do not know the procedures to be about by the time the person who is brought before the court. Then there is a specific time that the accused person has been brought to the courthouse. That is 24 hours from the time of arrest. Then the productions that has been taken over from the possession of this person. Maybe a gun, maybe a handgun, maybe a rod, maybe an iron rod, maybe some narcotics, a parcel of narcotics, a small portion of narcotics, or a bottle of Erek, or a bottle of Kasipu, so on and so forth, which may be produced as a production. Now this production is sealed, and then the handprint, the thumbprint of the accused is being laid on it. Now, with all that being done, if there is some mistake done on the hand of the prosecution officer or the officer who arrests this person at the time of his arrest, then this is the problem where the accused person has no faith in the police. I say faith in the police because people have a lot of faith in the police department even now, even though there has been so much of breakdown of the law on the side of the police officers, extrajudicial killings. They feel that they should be given, they should be meted out justice and fair play in the proper manner.